First contact. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before Captain Ilara Chen as she stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. Her dark eyes scanned the holographic displays, searching for any sign of the anomaly that had brought them to this uncharted sector of the galaxy. "Captain, we're picking up unusual energy signatures from the third planet in this system," reported Lieutenant Kai Rodriguez, his fingers dancing across the sensor controls. Ilara leaned forward, her interest piqued. "Can you identify the source?" Kai shook his head. "Negative, Captain. It's unlike anything in our database." A smile tugged at the corner of Ilara's lips. This was why she had joined the United Earth Space Force. The thrill of discovery, the unknown waiting to be explored. "Take us in, helmsman." Standard approach vector. As the horizon glided towards the mysterious planet, tension filled the bridge. Humanity had yet to encounter intelligent alien life, but every crew member knew it was only a matter of time. Today could be that day. The planet grew larger in the view screen, a swirling orb of purple and blue. Clouds of iridescent gas drifted across its surface, obscuring whatever lay beneath. "Captain, I'm detecting artificial structures on the surface," Kai announced, his voice tight with excitement. "And ships, dozens of them, in orbit." Ilara's heart raced. First contact protocol. "People, let's not startle our new neighbors. Hail them on all frequencies." Before they could broadcast a message, a voice crackled through the ship's speakers. The language was unlike anything they had ever heard, a series of clicks, whistles, and low rumbles. "Universal Translator is working on it, Captain," said Communications Officer Zarapatl. "Give it a moment." Suddenly, the view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The being had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, skin that shimmered like polished metal, and what appeared to be gills along its neck. The alien spoke again, and this time, the translator kicked in. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Zarkonian space. Identify yourself or be destroyed." Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I am Captain Ilara Chen of the United Earth Space Force vessel Horizon. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Humans," it said, the word dripping with disdain. "We know of your kind. Warlike. Destructive. You are not welcome here." Ilara frowned. "How could they know of humans? I assure you, we mean no harm. We are explorers, scientists. Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding." The transmission cut off abruptly. Kai's console blared a warning. "Captain, they're powering up weapons." "Shields up," Ilara commanded. Evasive maneuvers. The horizon banked hard, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy blasts from the alien ships. The bridge shook violently. "Return fire," asked Weapons Officer Takashi Tanaka, his hand hovering over the controls. Ilara hesitated. They hadn't come here for a fight, but she couldn't let her crew be destroyed. "Warning shots only. Target their weapons systems." The Horizon's advanced targeting systems made quick work of disabling several Zarkonian ships, but they were outnumbered, and their adversaries' technology was formidable. "Hull breach on Deck 7, shouted Kai. "Emergency force fields are holding, but we can't take much more of this." Ilara's mind raced. They needed a way out fast. Her eyes darted to the swirling atmosphere of the planet below. It was risky, but it might be their only chance. "Helm, take us into the planet's atmosphere." "Full speed." The helmsman looked at her in shock but complied. The horizon plunged towards the purple clouds, heat building up on its hull as it entered the atmosphere. "The Zarkonians are breaking off pursuit," Kai reported. "They're not following us in." Ilara allowed herself a small sigh of relief. "Good. Now let's see if we can lose them in these clouds. Engage stealth systems." As the ship descended through layers of glowing gas, the crew worked frantically to assess the damage and plan their next move. They had survived their first encounter with alien life. But at what cost? And why were the Zarkonians so hostile towards humans they claimed to know about? The horizon emerged from the clouded layer, revealing a landscape that took their breath away. Massive crystalline structures rose from the ground, pulsing with inner light. Creatures that looked like a cross between birds and jellyfish floated through the air. "Find us a place to set down for repairs," Ilara ordered, "and keep an eye out for any sign of Zarkonian ground forces. Something tells me our first contact is far from over." As the horizon touched down in a clearing surrounded by towering crystal spires, Ilara couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled into something far bigger than a simple exploration mission. Humanity's first steps into a larger galaxy had been met with hostility, but she was determined to uncover the truth behind the Zarkonians' aggression and prove that humanity was more than the warlike species they believed them to be. Little did she know, hidden eyes were watching their every move, and the true test of humanity's worth was about to begin. Unlikely alliance. As the repair crews worked tirelessly to patch up the horizon's hull, Captain Ilara Chen stood at the edge of the clearing, her eyes scanning the alien landscape. The crystalline structures pulsed with an otherworldly light, casting long shadows in the planet's dim, purple-tinged sunlight. "Captain," Lieutenant Kai Rodriguez's voice crackled through her comm. "We got company. Zarkonian ground forces approaching from the north." Ilara's hand instinctively went to her sidearm. "How many?" "Small squad, maybe 5 or 6. They're trying to be stealthy, but our scanners picked them up." "All right," Ilara said, her mind racing. "We can't risk another firefight. Not with the ship damaged. Kai, you're with me. We're going to try diplomacy one more time." As Ilara and Kai made their way towards the approaching Zarkonians, the alien terrain seemed to shift and breathe around them. What looked like plants pulsed with bioluminescence, and small creatures scurried away at their approach. They crested a small hill and came face to face with the Zarkonian squad. Up close, the aliens were even more imposing. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, their metallic skin reflecting the surrounding colors. Each carried a weapon that looked like a cross between a rifle and a living organism. The lead Zarkonian, distinguished by elaborate markings on its skin, stepped forward. Its 4 eyes focused intently on Ilara. "I am Commander Zexera of the Zarkonian Defense Force," it said, the translator in Ilara's ear working overtime. "You will surrender and be brought before the High Council for judgment." Ilara held up her hands in a peaceful gesture. "Commander, there's been a misunderstanding. We're not here to fight. We're explorers, scientists. We didn't even know your people existed until today." Zexera's upper eyes narrowed. "Lies. We have monitored your kind for cycles. Your wars, your destruction of your own world. And now you seek to spread to the stars. That's not who we are anymore," Ilara insisted. "Yes, humanity has made mistakes, but we've learned from them. We've united our world, focused on exploration and discovery. Please, give us a chance to prove ourselves." Before Zexera could respond, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. A deafening roar filled the air, and the crystalline structures around them vibrated with an eerie resonance. "Earthquake?" Kai asked, struggling to keep his balance. Zexera's eyes widened in what Ilara recognized as fear. "No," the alien commander said. "Much worse. Krulax." As if on cue, the ground erupted in front of them. A massive creature, easily the size of a small ship, burst from beneath the surface. It looked like a nightmarish fusion of centipede and dragon, with dozens of legs, a segmented body covered in iridescent scales, and a maw filled with razor-sharp teeth. The Krulax let out another ear-splitting roar and lunged at the nearest Zarkonian soldier. The alien's weapon proved ineffective against the creature's armor-like hide. Without hesitation, Ilara drew her phaser and fired at the Krulax's eyes. The beast recoiled, momentarily stunned. "Fall back," Ilara shouted to both her team and the Zarkonians. "We need to regroup." To her surprise, Zexera nodded in agreement. "To the crystal spires," the commander ordered. They'll provide some cover. As they ran, Ilara keyed her comm. Horizon, we've got a situation. Huge hostile creature. Prep the main cannons, but hold fire until my command. We've got friendlies mixed in. They reached the base of the nearest crystal spire, its smooth surface offering no handholds. The Hrulax was recovering, its massive form slithering towards them with frightening speed. Our weapons are useless against its hide, Zexera said, a note of desperation in its voice. Ilara's mind raced. She looked at the crystal spire, then at Kai. The resonance we felt earlier. Kai, can we use the ship's sonic emitters to match that frequency? Kai's eyes lit up with understanding. If we can amplify it enough, we might be able to shatter these crystals, create a distraction, maybe even hurt that thing. Do it, Ilara ordered. She turned to Zexera. Commander, we need to work together if we're going to survive this. Truce. Zexera hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Truce. What's your plan, human? As Kai worked furiously on his datapad to calibrate the Horizon's emitters, Ilara quickly outlined her strategy. The Zarkonians would use their superior strength to climb the crystal spire, planting sonic charges at key points. Meanwhile, the humans would distract the Hrulax, keeping it focused on the ground. The plan was risky, but it was all they had. As the Hrulax closed in, its massive jaws snapping, Ilara and her team spread out, firing their phasers to keep its attention. The Zarkonians moved with incredible agility, scaling the crystal spire and placing the charges. Ready, Kai shouted. Ilara nodded. Horizon, fire sonic emitters now. A high-pitched whine filled the air, quickly building to a deafening screech. The crystal spire began to vibrate violently. Cracks appeared along its surface, spreading rapidly. The Hrulax reared back, clearly disoriented by the sound. Suddenly, with a thunderous crack, the crystal spire shattered. Razor-sharp shards rained down on the creature, penetrating its armored hide. The beast let out a pained shriek and thrashed wildly, its movements becoming erratic. It crashed into the remaining crystal structures, causing a chain reaction of destruction. Back to the ship, Ilara yelled, gesturing for both humans and Zarkonians to follow. As they ran, the ground began to collapse behind them, the Hrulax disappearing into a growing sinkhole. They barely made it to the Horizon's loading ramp before the clearing was engulfed in chaos. Once inside, Ilara turned to Zexera, both of them breathing heavily. Commander, I think we have a lot to discuss. Zexera's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. Indeed, Captain. It seems we may have misjudged your species. As the Horizon lifted off, leaving the devastation behind, Ilara couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. They had faced a common enemy and emerged victorious through cooperation. Perhaps this unlikely alliance was the first step towards a greater understanding between their peoples. But as she looked out at the alien world below, Ilara knew that their troubles were far from over. The Hrulax was just the beginning, and the true test of humanity's place among the stars was yet to come. The greater threat. The Horizon hung in low orbit above the Zarkonian homeworld, its hull still bearing the scars of recent battles. Inside the ship's conference room, an unprecedented meeting was taking place. Captain Ilara Chen sat across from Commander Zexera, the tension in the air palpable but tinged with a newfound respect. Your actions against the Hrulax were impressive, Zexera admitted, its metallic skin shimmering under the room's lights. Perhaps we were hasty in our judgment of humanity. Ilara nodded, choosing her words carefully. We appreciate that, Commander. But I have to ask, how did you know about us in the first place? We've never encountered your people before. Zexera's 4 eyes blinked in unison, a gesture Ilara was beginning to recognize as discomfort. We have been observing your transmissions for many cycles. Your entertainment, your news, they paint a picture of a violent, unpredictable species. Ah, Ilara said, understanding dawning. You've been picking up our broadcasts. But, Commander, those are often dramatizations, exaggerations. They don't represent who we truly are." Before Zexera could respond, Lieutenant Kai burst into the room, his face pale. "Captain, Commander, you need to see this." They followed Kai to the bridge, where a holographic display showed a massive object approaching the Zarkonian system. "What are we looking at, Lieutenant?" Ilara asked, her voice tight. Kai's fingers danced over the controls. It's a ship, Captain. But the size, it's larger than anything we've ever encountered. Easily 10 times the mass of the horizon." Zexera leaned in, its eyes widening. By the first light, it's them. The Harvesters. The Harvesters. Ilara turned to the alien commander. "You know this ship?" Zexera nodded grimly. "They are the reason we have been so wary of other species. The Harvesters appear every few generations, taking what they want from worlds they encounter. Resources, technology, people. We thought we had more time before their return." Ilara's mind raced. How long until they reach the planet? "At their current speed, less than 40 of your Earth hours," Kai reported. "We need to evacuate," Zexera said, a note of defeat in its voice. "Our defenses are not ready. We cannot hope to stand against them." Ilara looked at the massive ship on the display, then back at Zexera. A plan was forming in her mind. Risky, perhaps even foolhardy, but it was all they had. "What if we could buy you more time?" she asked. "Give your people a chance to prepare, to fight back." Zexera's upper eyes narrowed. "How?" Ilara took a deep breath. "The horizon is small, fast, and equipped with some of the most advanced stealth technology Earth has developed. We could approach the Harvester ship, gather intelligence, maybe even sabotage their systems." "That's suicide," Zexera said, but Ilara could hear a glimmer of hope in its voice. "Maybe," Ilara admitted, "but it's better than standing by and watching your world fall. Commander, if we do this, if we risk everything to help your people, will you trust that humanity is more than what you've seen in our broadcasts?" Zexera was silent for a long moment, its gaze moving from Ilara to the rest of the Horizon's crew. Finally, it spoke. "If you are willing to face the Harvesters for a people not your own, then yes, Captain. You will have earned our trust." The next few hours were a flurry of activity. The Horizon's crew worked alongside Zarkonian engineers, integrating their technologies and preparing for the dangerous mission ahead. Ilara stood on the bridge, watching as her ship was transformed into a hybrid of human and alien engineering. "Captain," Kai called out, "we're picking up a transmission from the Harvester ship. It's a demand for surrender." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything they had ever seen. It appeared to be a fusion of organic and mechanical parts, with multiple limbs and a face that was more apparatus than flesh. "Peoples of this world," the being spoke, its voice a discordant mix of tones. "Your resources have been deemed worthy of collection. Resistance is inadvisable. Prepare for harvesting." The transmission cut off, leaving a chilling silence on the bridge. "Well," Ilara said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her, "I guess that settles it. We're not letting these Harvesters take another world." She turned to her crew, seeing determination in their eyes. "This won't be easy. We're going up against technology far beyond our own, risking everything for a people we've just met. But this is what humanity stands for: exploring the unknown, standing up for what's right, and proving that we're more than our past mistakes." Ilara looked at Zexera, who stood tall beside her. "Together, we have a chance, not just to save this world, but to forge a new future, one where humans and Zarkonians stand as allies against the darkness of space." As the Horizon prepared to depart, its systems humming with newfound power, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This was humanity at its best, innovative, courageous, and willing to extend a hand in friendship, even in the face of overwhelming odds. The ship broke orbit, streaking towards the looming threat of the Harvester vessel. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Ilara knew that this moment, This union of two species against a common foe would change the course of history for both their peoples. As they approached the massive harvester ship, its dark hull blotting out the stars, Ilara took a deep breath. "All right, everyone. Let's show them what humanity can do." Battle for survival. The Horizon glided silently through the void, its hybrid systems operating at peak efficiency. Captain Ilara Chen stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the colossal harvester ship that loomed before them. Its hull was a patchwork of metals and unknown materials, as if it had been cobbled together from 100 different worlds. "Stealth systems holding," Lieutenant Kai reported, his voice barely above a whisper despite the fact that sound couldn't travel in space. "They haven't detected us. Yet." Beside Ilara, Commander Zexera's metallic skin rippled with tension. "The Harvester's technology is beyond anything we've encountered. Are you certain this plan will work, Captain?" Ilara gave a grim smile. "Certain? No, but it's the best chance we've got." Their plan was audacious, bordering on insane. Using the Horizon's advanced stealth technology, enhanced by Zarkonian cloaking devices, they would approach the harvester ship undetected. A small team would then board the vessel, with the goal of sabotaging its main systems and gathering crucial intelligence. "We're in position," Kai announced, ready to deploy the boarding party. Ilara nodded. "All right, this is it. Commander Zexera, are your people ready?" The Zarkonian commander's 4 eyes blinked in affirmation. "We are prepared to fight alongside you, Captain." The boarding party consisted of a mix of human and Zarkonian crew members, each bringing their unique skills and technologies to the mission. Ilara had insisted on leading the team herself, despite protests from her crew. As they entered the airlock, Ilara turned to address the group. "Remember, our primary objective is to disable their propulsion and weapons systems. Anything else we can learn about their technology is a bonus. Stay in communication at all times, and if things go south, don't hesitate to abort. Clear?" A chorus of affirmatives answered her, human and alien voices united in purpose. The airlock cycled, and they pushed off towards the harvester ship. As they approached, a section of the hull seemed to ripple and part, revealing an entrance. It was as if the ship was inviting them in. "I don't like this," Kai muttered over the comm. "It's too easy." Ilara shared his unease, but they had no choice. They entered the harvester ship, finding themselves in a cavernous chamber that defied explanation. The walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and conduits that looked half alive snaked across the floor and ceiling. "Split up," Ilara ordered. "Teams of 3. Find those control systems." As they moved deeper into the ship, the alien nature of the harvesters became even more apparent. There were no straight lines, no clear divisions between technology and biology. Everything seemed to flow and shift, making navigation a nightmare. Ilara's team, consisting of herself, Zexera, and a human engineer named Dr. Yuki Tanaka, found themselves in what appeared to be a central hub. Holographic displays flickered with incomprehensible data, and at the center stood a pillar of swirling energy. "This has to be it," Dr. Tanaka said, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and scientific curiosity. "The ship's main power source." As they approached the pillar, a voice boomed around them, the same discordant tones they had heard in the transmission. "Interesting," the voice said. "You are not like the others we have harvested." Ilara's hand tightened on her weapon. "We're not here to be harvested. We're here to stop you." A chuckle, if it could be called that, reverberated through the chamber. "Stop us, little creatures. You do not understand. We are the culmination of 1,000 civilizations. We are evolution perfected." Suddenly, the floor beneath them began to shift. Tendrils of living metal burst forth, wrapping around their legs. "Zexera, now!" Ilara shouted. The Zarkonian commander pressed a device against the nearest conduit. It pulsed with energy, and for a moment, the ship's systems flickered. "Clever," the voice said, sounding more intrigued than angry. "But futile." The tendrils tightened, and Ilara felt herself being pulled towards the energy pillar. She could see the same happening to her teammates. "Dr. Tanaka," Ilara called out, struggling against the pull. "The resonance technology we used against the Hrulax. Could it work here?" Yuki's eyes lit up with understanding. "If we can match the frequency of their energy systems, maybe we can overload them." Ilara managed to reach her calm. "Kai, do you copy? We need you to fire up the sonic emitters. Full power, on my mark." "Captain, at that level, it could tear the horizon apart," Kai's voice crackled through. "It's a risk we have to take," Ilara replied. "Stand by." As they were drawn closer to the pillar, Ilara could feel its energy washing over her. Memories, not her own, flashed through her mind. Countless worlds, countless civilizations, all consumed by the harvesters. "You see," the voice said, "we are the pinnacle of existence. Join us, and your knowledge will live on forever." Ilara gritted her teeth. "Here's what you don't understand," she said, her voice strained but determined. "Humanity doesn't want to conquer or consume. We want to explore, to learn, to grow. And we'll fight to our last breath to protect that dream. And the dreams of others." With a supreme effort, she raised her hand, pressing her own sonic device against the energy pillar. "Now, Kai." The horizon fired its emitters, the sound waves amplified by the Zarkonian technology. The harvester ship shuddered, its systems screeching in protest. The energy pillar fluctuated wildly, and Ilara felt the tendrils loosening. "Impossible," the voice said, now tinged with fear. "You cannot." But it was happening. The ship's systems were overloading, unable to cope with the resonance frequency. Ilara and her team broke free, running for the exit as the chamber began to collapse around them. "All teams, evacuate now," Ilara shouted into her comm. "Get back to the horizon." As they raced through the disintegrating ship, dodging falling debris and bursts of wild energy, Ilara couldn't help but feel a sense of triumph. They had done it. They had faced an enemy far beyond their technological level and found a way to prevail. They reached the airlock just as the harvester ship began to break apart. The horizon swooped in, scooping up the boarding parties and quickly putting distance between them and the dying Colossus. On the bridge, Ilara watched as the harvester ship imploded, collapsing in on itself in a spectacular display of light and energy. Beside her, Zexera's eyes were wide with disbelief. "You did it," the Zarkonian commander said softly. "You saved our world." Ilara shook her head. "We did it, Commander. Together." As the crew of the Horizon celebrated their victory, Ilara knew that this was just the beginning. They had proven that humanity could stand tall among the stars, not through conquest or destruction, but through courage, innovation, and the willingness to extend a hand in friendship. The battle was won, but the greater challenge, building a lasting peace between their peoples and facing whatever other threats the galaxy might hold, was just beginning. A new era. The Zarkonian capital city was a breathtaking sight, its crystal spires reaching towards the purple sky. At the center of the Grand Plaza, a monument was being unveiled, a sculpture depicting a human hand and a Zarkonian hand clasped together, surrounded by a spiral of stars. Captain Ilara Chen stood beside Commander Zexera, both in formal attire, as the Zarkonian High Council addressed the gathered crowd. The plaza was filled with a mix of Zarkonians and humans, a sight that would have been unthinkable just a few weeks ago. Today, the High Councilor's voice boomed across the plaza. "We celebrate not just our victory over the harvesters, but the birth of a new alliance. Humanity has proven itself to be not the threat we once feared, but a valuable friend and ally." Ilara felt a swell of pride as she looked out at the crowd. The crew of the Horizon stood tall, their uniforms pristine, representing the best of what humanity had to offer. As the speech concluded and the monument was unveiled, Zexera turned to Ilara. "Captain, I must confess, I never imagined this day would come. Our peoples, standing together as equals." Ilara smiled. It's what we've always hoped for, Commander. To find friends among the stars. To learn and grow together. Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Kai, who approached with a data pad in hand. Captain, Commander, we finished analyzing the data we retrieved from the harvester ship. You're going to want to see this. They moved to a quiet corner of the plaza, away from the celebrating crowds. Kai pulled up a holographic display, showing a map of the galaxy. The harvesters weren't just a random threat, Kai explained, his voice low. They were scouts for something much bigger. Look at these movement patterns. The display showed a series of arrows, all converging on their sector of space. Zexera's 4 eyes widened. By the first light, there are more of them coming. Ilara studied the map, her mind racing. Not just more. An entire armada. The ship we faced was just the beginning. The weight of this revelation settled over them. The victory they had just celebrated suddenly felt small in the face of this looming threat. But as Ilara looked back at the monument, at the humans and Zarkonians mingling in the plaza, she felt a surge of determination. This doesn't change anything, she said firmly. If anything, it makes what we've accomplished here even more important. Zexera nodded slowly. You're right. Alone, neither of our peoples could hope to stand against such a force. But together, we have a chance, Ilara finished. She turned to Kai. Send word to Earth. We need to brief the United Earth government and start preparations immediately. As Kai hurried off, Ilara and Zexera walked back towards the center of the plaza. The celebration continued around them, blissfully unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. You know, Zexera said, its tone thoughtful. When we first intercepted your broadcasts, we saw only the conflicts, the wars. We failed to see the resilience, the creativity, the unwavering spirit that defines humanity. Ilara nodded. We've made our share of mistakes, it's true. But we've always strived to learn from them, to be better. And now, with your people by our side, I believe we can face anything the universe throws at us. They reached the monument, standing before the intertwined hands of human and Zarkonian. Ilara placed her hand on the cool metal surface, and after a moment's hesitation, Zexera did the same. To the future, Ilara said softly. To the future, Zexera echoed. As they stood there, a symbol of their newfound alliance, Ilara's mind was already racing with plans. They would need to expand their fleet, integrate their technologies, train their forces to work together seamlessly. It would be the greatest undertaking in human history. But as she looked out at the faces of her crew, at the Zarkonians who had gone from enemies to allies, she knew that they were ready for the challenge. Humanity had taken its first true steps into the galactic community, and they had done so not through force or conquest, but through courage, compassion, and the willingness to extend a hand in friendship. The harvesters, and whatever other threats the universe held, would find not a divided and vulnerable target, but a united front of species standing together. And in that unity, Ilara knew, lay their greatest strength. As the twin suns of the Zarkonian world began to set, casting the crystal city in a warm ethereal glow, Ilara felt a sense of hope and excitement for what lay ahead. The journey would be difficult, the challenges immense, but they would face them together. This was the dawn of a new era. For humanity, for the Zarkonians, and for the galaxy itself. And whatever the future held, they would meet it head-on, guided by the principles of exploration, cooperation, and the unwavering belief that together, they could achieve the impossible.